Hello! This week I'm going to speak to you about how to project your voice. I'm going to go through lots of tips and I want you to then stop the video or stop the podcast and try some of these tips for yourself. If you have to speak in front of a group of people, even with a microphone, you will need to project your voice. Some of my students even need help projecting their voice to small groups of people, like meetings or informal gatherings in the workplace where they don't feel confident enough to raise their voice. The first thing I would like you to consider when you want to project your voice is posture. The way that you stand, the way that you hold your head and your shoulders, all of these things affect the voice. Partly because they really help make you feel more confident if you are standing or sitting up relatively straight. You don't need to sit like a primary school child in assembly, but you do need to sit with a nice straight back. I'm just pulling my chest up very slightly. I'm keeping my stomach relaxed, although actually because I'm sitting up quite straight it is pulled in a little bit. My shoulders are nice and relaxed, they could move around very freely from this position, and my head is nice and still, as central as I can get it. Now, from this position the air can come up from my lungs very freely and flow forward. So it's very easy to see how it's very easy for the voice to come out when you're sitting up straight and your head is straight and your shoulders are relaxed. When you are breathing for any kind of public speaking, small groups, meetings, conferences, enormous lecture halls, you have to breathe efficiently. You need to breathe in through your nose and then you project your voice out from your mouth. Breathing in through the nose helps prevent those little coughing sounds that you might sometimes need to do if you constantly pull your breath in through your mouth. It also stops your mouth drying out. Because you're breathing in through your nose, your mouth can stay more moist. Good. The second thing we need to think about with breathing is taking 2 or 3 really deep breaths before you go on stage in the meeting. And this is really easily done in the workplace by nipping to the toilet, or I'm just going to get that piece of paper from my desk, and as you do it you take a few good deep breaths. It helps ensure that the blood is flowing, that your lungs are nice and full, so when you do speak it will be with a full voice. Another tip is to open your mouth a little wider than usual. Quite often when people are nervous, their lips almost fuse together and so the sound becomes much smaller because the gap is narrower. The other thing people tend to do is to clench their jaw tighter together, and then there is no space in the mouth for resonance. So make sure when you want to project your voice that you open your jaw as wide as you can without feeling like some crazy cartoon character who's over enunciating. To practice opening up the sound, you can do exercises that are vowel based using the letter H. A really good one is ha, 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 and I'm emptying my lungs on each sound, and that makes me drop the tongue, open the jaw, force the sound forward. I'm not projecting it as much as I could because obviously I'm using a microphone and we don't want to deafen everybody listening. To keep your voice forward, to experience forward voice, practice humming and making your lips tingle. Hum. You should be able to hear that buzzing. Hum. That means my voice is forward. If I hum and open my mouth, hum, nice free open sound. Only a little congestion because it's quite early in the morning here. Okay, so that's how we practice keeping our voice forward. Once you've experienced that, you will find it easier to speak with a forward voice. Now test out your voice. That's my next tip. Really play with your voice and, go to a large room or a big outdoor space where nobody can hear you and see how big you can make your voice. Really open it up without any fear or insecurities, and see if you can really project your voice right to the back just by opening that mouth, breathing really hard. A little phrase that we used to say when we were learning was your voice is a tennis ball to bounce off the opposing wall. And that really helps. If you project your voice towards the back of the space, you don't have to lose the eye contact with people. In fact, eye contact with people helps them to take in what you are projecting at them, because if you're looking at them, and if you've got a large group, just sweep gently from left to right. It's really easy to do. Feels a little strange at first, but then everyone feels included. Okay, just a few more tips. So, use lots of energy in your voice. So have a good warm up or use your voice before, and think energetically about your voice. To avoid speaking too quickly, if you're trying to use energy in your voice, I'm just going to see if I've still got the app on my phone. Yes, you can use a simple metronome app, and I'm pretty sure this was a free one, and it just gives you a simple rhythm to speak to practice speaking to a rhythm. Of course, you don't want to speak to this rhythm all the time, but it's a useful way to practice with a metronome. And choose something interesting to practice with, perhaps a poem that you love or some song lyrics of a song that you are really very keen on. When you are practicing your enunciation, do that in front of a mirror. Watch your lip patterns, make them crisp and sharp. Okay, make sure your tongue isn't getting in the way. We will need to talk about intonation in terms of projection. We can't then turn into a monotonous robot voice because we are projecting our voice. So make sure that you still allow that lovely up and down that the English language requires for it to be understood. If your intonation goes up all the time, it will make you sound like you're unsure, and it will sound like you don't know what you're talking about. So we need a nice balance of the intonation going up and going down. And again, that's mainly practice. My last tip is to get someone to listen to you. Because if you get someone to listen to you, then they will give you some probably quite brutal, honest feedback. And you will be able to improve from there. So some brief tips on how to project your voice and how to speak in public. If you want more help, I do offer private lessons on Google Helpouts. I also offer private lessons via Skype. I have availability from September in the daytime. Some of my availability in the evening is already booked, but I will have some lessons in September available. Check out my website, midwintertuition.co.uk. You can also listen to my podcast on iTunes, Elocution. I'm the only Elocution podcast on iTunes, and I look forward to speaking to you all again soon. Good luck playing with your voice. Goodbye.